Good evening, YouTube. It's that day at long last, right? Bloodlines 2 is finally coming out after being in development since how long? 20 years by this point? Changing hands how many times? Changing developers however many times? Changing leadership however many times? It's finally here, and does anyone really have any enthusiasm for this? It's not looking very good, guys. I want to try coming at this with a big smile on my face and a lot of energy saying, oh, Bloodlines 2, this is going to be the big recruitment haul for World of Darkness as a fandom all over again. And that's what I wanted this to be. I wanted Bloodlines 2 to draw everybody back in again, but this is what this video is. I just don't think it's going to happen. Where I know this is usually this is different from what we usually do on the channel. This is a podcast channel. What we usually do, I'm not really a guy that does this kind of smash JT or Mudahar kind of content, but I have to address this. All right, I really do like World of Darkness, old World of Darkness specifically, not Chronicles, definitely not Chronicles. And this is something that, if you've been looking at the channel for the past 2 years, something that I've been super passionate about. Kyle and Ryan, my two co-hosts, have been just as passionate about too. This story, it sounds embarrassing whenever you say a story means something to you, but we wouldn't have dedicated 2 years of a project to something if we didn't care about it, you know? You don't do that. You just don't say, oh, it's a video game or an IP that I don't really care about. Let me just make videos about it for 2 years. This means a little something. It's how we've met a lot of really good people online. It's how we've made a lot of friends online. Connections that we would have never made under any other circumstances. We met through Vampire. We met through Werewolf. We met through Mage, Hunter. And it looks like that's not going to happen anymore. What got me, and with the amount of people I've talked to that have played World of Darkness and all these other games, what got us into the fandom was Bloodlines, the first game. And that was one of the best games ever made. It was made by the same people that made Arcanum, if I do believe. And it was on the same level of narrative intrigue as Planescape Torment, very similar to Disco Elysium these days. It was an RPG that had a lot of jank, a lot of flaws to it. You can definitely tell the game was held together with code that was popsicle sticks and Elmer's glue. But it's one of the best games ever made. You can tell what it was trying to do, and you knew that people that made that game cared about what they were making. This wasn't just some sort of holiday cash grab. It wasn't some sort of copy-paste asset flip game. This is something that people cared about and did the best they could for it, for an IP that at the time was in its twilight and I believe died shortly after that game came out, or even before it came out. The details in my mind are a little bit hazy about it, but it did a lot. And a lot of people thought it was its own game, only to find out there's an entire tabletop attached to it. What got me really excited about Cyberpunk is it wasn't so much for 2077, but Edge Runners, where a lot of people got into Cyberpunk, to tabletop RPG, because of Edge Runners. A lot of people started playing it. A lot of people wanted to make characters based around Rachel, David, Lucy, and I liked it. I tried getting into Cyberpunk around that time, and I never found any groups that stuck around for long, but I was happy where it's Cyberpunk. It's a really cool story that now a lot more people get to explore and go through the same kind of journey that I did. And that was the case with Vampire the Masquerade, or what I wish was going on, because dog, the World of Darkness games that have been coming out have not been very good. You've got so many coming out where you had Wraith, both versions of Wraith, the VR game and the voice chat game. I don't even know what they were doing with Orpheus device, and those didn't really bring any whole. The visual novels, absolutely not. It's uninspired and boring. The lack of a visual element to the visual novels isn't doing us any favors. Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt didn't do anything. Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthbound was just humiliating. It was just a humiliating product. It's embarrassing. Nobody should have released that. It's such a pale, poor attempt at trying to convey what Werewolf the Apocalypse is supposed to be. It's just embarrassing. It's just Fern Gully if it was made by an idiot. And now we're here with Bloodlines 2, and Bloodlines 2, this is what I wanted to get a lot of new people in, because I was excited for this. I was making episodes in advance about this. I was thinking, Bloodlines 2 is going to come out, and a lot of new people are going to get into Vampire. And then with new people getting into Vampire, if they come my way, I'm able to say, hey, you like Vampire, here's the other sister games we can talk about. Because I love getting new people into World of Darkness, telling people about this, where I just like explaining what I feel is one of the best stories ever told in a tabletop. You have a lot of lore when it comes to RPGs, but Vampire the Masquerade, it went somewhere. It had interesting stories where the bad guys won a lot, but you still overcame your inner despair. You still pushed forward, but all I really feel towards this is just despair, really. It's not going to do anything. I'm looking at the comments, I'm looking at the likes to dislikes, and yeah, you've got a lot of mindless NPCs upvoting it, and everyone who sees this for what it is giving it the dislike it deserves, where this is embarrassing. A game that's been in development hell forever and ever is not going to be very good. I mean, look at Duke Nukem Forever, look at Final Fantasy 15, look at Kingdom Hearts 3. All those games were big pieces of shit that came out after long development cycles, and you could tell just how torturous development had been, just how much stuff had to be cut, how much stuff was missing just to get the product out the door. And that's already apparent with Bloodlines, what we're seeing in the trailers. The animations look like they're made in first drafts, where somebody's just rushing through the animation team saying, we gotta get this done, we gotta get this animated and done and printed and sold as soon as we can. The RPG elements are gone. Any sort of real customization and roleplay that you could do in this game is gone. It's just a action corridor, basically, with the same depth that's going to be in Final Fantasy 13. But there's no customization at all. You have a whole measly 4 clans to pick from, where it doesn't feel like it's going to matter what you pick. And then the Toreador and the Sombra being behind day 1 on disc DLC, from what it looks like, it's embarrassing. The Toreador are Vampire the Masquerade. When you ask a lot of people, what do you think a vampire is? The description that people give of what they think a vampire is describes Clan Toreador. And Clan Toreador is the first vampire that a lot of people play as, either in Bloodlines 1 or in the tabletop. And Clan La Sombra, which is, of course, the most popular vampire clan, period, when it comes to this. I know this. I look at the search engine optimization for vampire. La Sombra is the most searched for one. It's got the most OCs. People really love the La Sombra. And, of course, Paradox and Chinese Room knew about this, and that's why they're both DLC. And you get the Banu Hakim and Tremere, and it's all action. It's just butt action. It's not interesting. The gameplay does not look very fun. It just looks like another FPS, and that's all it looks like. But just, I'm trying to remember what it was called. Was it like Red Veil or Dawn Guard or something? It was this other embarrassing vampire game that came out 2 years ago. It looks like that. It just doesn't look like it's inspired by anything. It doesn't look like there was any real vision behind Bloodlines 2 besides, we're going to make a cynical product and it's going to be shit, and we're going to try to milk us for as much money as we can. As say with that whole nostalgic package where it's just Family Guy cutaway. Hey Peter, you remember the time the Malkavian had an argument with the stop sign? Hey Peter, you remember the time there was the portrait of the dad who sexually assaulted his daughter? Hey Peter, you remember the time there was a jukebox? And it's just 4 things where I don't even know what we're supposed to do with it. Is it just in the game somewhere and you just look at it and that's it, and that's my pre-order bonus? And that's it? Where you guys have been waiting for GameStop to die for years and years so you can just do really crappy, stupid pre-orders like this? And that's the best you've got? I just look at Bloodlines 2, I think this is just the best you had? This is all you had? This game has been in development for so long, and this is all you have to show for it? You've got to be shitting me, guys. I mean, no, that this sucks. I would rather you just not really say anything at all by this point. I'm not buying it. I'm not putting any money towards this. I've been talking with Kyle and Ryan, my co-host, and we're not really thinking about it either. And we talk about the people on our server, looking at some of the comments, and it's not there. Just nobody really wants this, where sure, anybody who's just absolutely starved for vampire content will pick it up and give it a spin and then uninstall it after 2 hours and get a full refund for it on Steam. And there's going to be no player base for this on console whatsoever, and If there's any sort of modding behind it, it's going to have to be a massive overhaul. If fans do get a hold of this and really turn it around, and there's a huge mod scene behind it, I would love to see that, but I don't think it's going to happen. And what's going to happen when Bloodlines 2 does come out and does flop? Because that's what's going to happen. This game is not going to make as much money as the Paradox is going to want to. And I don't think there's going to be a fandom after this, really. Because this is what a lot of us have been keeping the lights on for, where we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen with World of Darkness. And it didn't come in any sort of visual novel, definitely not for sure. It did not come with Earthbound. It definitely didn't come with anything that 5th edition's been, where sure, we were all excited for Vampire 5th edition when it first came out, but we've read through it, and a lot of people are just leaving en masse for V20. Everybody's just going back playing the old versions. And then nobody gave a single shit about Haunted Reckoning 5th edition. And nobody cared, and nobody bought Werewolf 5th edition. And nobody's touching Wormtide. And speaking of Wormtide, I've just noticed that Paradox is not the company that should have had this. It's in the wrong hands. I noticed too when I was reading Wormtide that back in the old Pentex book with Monkey Wrenchers and subsidiaries that got to Pentex, that there was Black Dog Games that was making fun of White Wolf as itself, whereas people that knew how to take a joke and could at least joke around and pretend to be this evil company of the worm making bad games. But you look through Wormtide and there's no Black Dog in it, and that's because Paradox is just a humorless company that can't take any sort of negative criticism, can't take a loss, can't take any accountability for anything, and it's just full of really abrasive asshole developers that I don't want anything to do with, and I don't want to support. I don't like what you're doing with these RPG books, with any of the visual novels, and with any of these games. And when this comes out and everybody's just going to look at this, and instead of thinking about Bloodlines 1, one of the best games ever made, Bloodlines 2 is going to be on the fresh of everybody's mind and say, wasn't that shovelware game that was a big piece of shit? And they're going to say, well, which one? Did you mean the one that came out in 2025 or one that came out in 2023? And that's as far as it's going to go. And I don't think we're going to really have much of a fandom after this. We're still going to make World of Darkness content on this channel. We're still going to make videos about Vampire, Werewolf. We'll go back to Mage, but I'm not expecting anybody new to hop into World of Darkness. Where the videos we're going to make is just going to be for us, for myself, for our co-host, and for our fans that we already have. But I don't think we're going to see anybody new coming for a while. I feel like the fandom as a whole is expecting that too, because what are some of the World of Darkness YouTubers doing? Where Haunted Parenting is just its own thing by this point. It just exists in a bubble, telling its own story. And other guys like Lore by Night, I feel like they've just given up on this content entirely, where Lore by Night's content is something that you see off a guy who works with BuzzFeed or Vice or what's the other one, Jubilee, and then Lazar Stygia has just been asleep for a while. So I don't think we have much of a fandom left, guys. It sounds like despair, and it might be that. It's just I want to be happy about this. I want to like this. I want to get into this day one. I want to play it, and I just want to enjoy this with everyone else. But I'm not going to do it. I don't think anyone else is going to do it either. And so we're just here, where it's just World of Darkness as a group and as a fandom is just going to go into hospice care, and we're going to be in the same boat as a fandom like F-Zero, where we just talk about the same old game that's 20 years, 30 years old by this point, and we're just going to keep circulating tapes, and nothing new is going to come out. This was supposed to be the Hail Mary. This was supposed to be what brought everyone back into World of Darkness and really kickstarted the series all over again, and should have been an avenue towards, revitalizing this IP. And if you made this game that it was supposed to, there was a lot more money that could have been made here. But because of the development cycle and because of what we're seeing as this finished product, that's just not going to happen. It's just going to be another dead IP all over again. And it's not looking good. And I don't mean to sound this pessimistic, but I'm just seeing the writing on the wall for what it is, and I'm not enthusiastic about this by any means. It just sucks. It's just sad but true that this sucks. What's going to happen? And I don't make a video if I don't have anything new to add to the conversation. I'm not gonna go like make a 10-minute video at length about the DLC alone or just the trailer alone, but I'm looking around and seeing what guys like Angry Joe are saying, and this ain't it. Nobody's gonna like this. Nobody's gonna care. This is probably gonna be one of the worst games of 2025. And then come 2026, nobody's gonna talk about this. And that's it. I don't really have a way to end this video. That's just it. Yeah.